darlings. This is Melissa, your Learning Technologies trainer. Thanks for stopping by to engage in this recording of the CPS Adobe Creative Institute Part 1. This video series is a special opportunity for CPS teachers to become a certified Adobe Creative Educator. Now, this is a create as you learn opportunity. So details on creating your portfolio for this certification can be found throughout the video series. Once you've completed the 4 sessions and your portfolio is ready, you will attend a live badging event where you will receive your official Adobe Creative Educator badge. Details on badging events can be found down in the description box.
So just kind of to set the stage, you all saw the marketing flyer that we sent out. You are getting credit through LaunchEd for being here. But we wanted to put together an opportunity for our tech coordinators, our librarians, and then we expanded our reach a little bit to some of our curriculum department as well, to kind of join this Creative Institute that we're having our technology teachers go through as well. It is optional, so thank you for giving up your time and being here and wanting to explore and learn with us. Jesse, I'd love for you to spend a minute, since this team did not get the pleasure of getting that introduction that you gave to the tech teachers, which was phenomenal, by the way. If you could do a little bit of background intro before we get started, and explain how, to your point previously, that this isn't about a tool, right? We have the tools and we have access to it. Everyone in the district has access, but it's about how we use those tools in a creative way for students to really demonstrate that mastery of learning and have that creative expression opportunity as well. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to our Adobe partner, Jesse.
Thank you. So my name is Jesse Levinsky. I'm an education evangelist with Adobe, which is really just like a fancy way of saying I get to work directly with students and teachers. I've been in education for 20 years. I spent the first half of my career as a classroom teacher in middle school. I started teaching at the university. When I got into it, because I wound up in middle school because I was like, elementary kids are too little and high school kids are too big. Middle school's perfect. It's right in the middle, and didn't know anything clearly about what it meant to be in a classroom. I crossed over to the dark side. I became an administrator. I did that for another decade. I was a director of technology and innovation for a public school district in Westchester County, New York, which is where I live. And, you know, I was going to say that there's a dotted line to Adobe, but really quick, the short version is I left to start an educational technology company with a few other colleagues right before the pandemic, because the best time to start a company is right before a global pandemic. We did co-write 2 books. The book covers are like right over my shoulder. The first was a book about augmented and virtual reality in education. The second was a book about esports in education. And then I'm almost next week.
Do you mind like plugging the titles, because some of them may have read them before?
Sure. So the first is Reality Bites, Innovative Learning Using Augmented and Virtual Reality. And the second one is the Esports Education Playbook, Empowering Every Learner Through Inclusive Gaming. Wow, I'm shocked I remember those like off the top of my head like that. You can tell I've said it a lot. Next week, we're doing our second session. That will be my 1-year anniversary of being at Adobe. So I've been with Adobe for almost a year. A year ago, there was no education team, really. There was like 3 people and only 1 person sitting in this role. But since then, there's almost a dozen of us. Our team has grown exponentially. And a dozen people in the evangelist role, I'm talking about, they grew a whole team. And they staffed it almost entirely with people who've been in the classroom, who've led school buildings, who sat in all the seats that you're sitting in. And with that, that's kind of the framing for the work we're going to be doing over the next 4 weeks. And thank you so much, by the way, for even agreeing before you really kind of knew what you were getting into to spend valuable after school time with me. But to Debbie's point, while today I'm going to introduce you to a tool, even though I work for a tools company, the focus of this work will not be on tools. We're really going to focus on instructional outcomes in the classroom. just to kind of give you a little preview of what the 4 weeks are going to look like. Today, we're going to focus on what we call creative tools. We'll take a look at Adobe Express, mainly so that you can get comfortable with it. And I almost have the best job in the world that I get to introduce people to a tool that really doesn't require a lot of PD. So like I bring people into the training really to highlight the fact that this tool does not require a lot of training. So most of today is going to be spent with you doing. The next week's actually my favorite session. So I'm kind of glad I get to run that on my anniversary at Adobe. That's going to be creative process. So we're going to take a look at what does a creative process look like in the classroom. And we're going to have you go through one as students where I model as the instructor. And we kind of are going to take a look at how we actually enact a creative process in any classroom. The third week, we're going to take a look at assessment. What does assessment look like in the creative classroom? How do we assess creative works? And we're really going to, I mean, I'm saying how do we assess creative works, but to be honest, we're going to have a really deep conversation about assessment in general, because we're going to take a look at things like 1-point rubrics, examining some of the issues with traditional rubrics, taking a look at different formative and summative assessment strategies. And then finally, the fourth session, we're going to wrap it up with what we call creativity in the classroom. We're going to take a look at where does creativity fit in any classroom at any grade level? Where are those pockets? And we're going to talk about 3 big pillars: creative thinking, creative expression, and reflection, and look at how we kind of enact those in any classroom. And then when we're done with the fourth session, you are going to be certified as Adobe Creative Educator Level 1 and Level 2 educators. And what that entails is, unlike most certifications where we like send you a JPEG or something that you can put in your email, you'll actually get a sign-up link from Credly, which is a micro-credentialing organization where you could sign up, get an account, and you could actually link these anywhere, where if someone clicks on it, it'll actually take them out to a page on Credly to explain what that certification entailed and the work we're doing. The other piece I'll pitch to you is, and I'll send out a link in the follow-up. I'll put the link in the chat toward the end of today. We are looking to build what we're calling an Adobe District Leader cohort within Cincinnati Public Schools. So what that involves on your end is A, being interested, B, being willing to meet with me once a month virtually. And again, it's not like if you don't come, we'll kick you out, but it's really just a matter. I'm going to be setting up monthly meetings on Thursdays moving forward, where basically I will provide additional training, additional support, talk through problems of practice that you might be having, and give you tools you might need in order to kind of help other educators in your building be successful with this idea of creativity in the classroom. And what Adobe is looking to do to support your work is, if you are then going out and kind of like doing mini trainings or showing teachers or working with students, you report those trainings out to us, those sessions out to us. We will provide you with points that you can then redeem in our swag store for like sweaters, things like that. So, we do want to we respect and value the time that you're willing to give to partner with us. We're looking for people to do that work with us as well. So we're really excited. I'm going to put into Debbie. Did I hit on all the high points? I feel like that.
Yeah. Yes, you did. And I I need a recording of you doing your whole creative rethinking, reusing presentation.
Oh,
I cannot.
Oh yeah, unfortunately,
I just can't explain how it captures you.
I will tell you this. So we will have time. This session's kind of packed. The next session's kind of packed. 3 and 4 will have some extra time, and during that time, I might give everyone here a chance to kind of catch up on any artifacts they want to work on a little bit more. And so maybe Debbie, I will do my little keynote thing during then. So when we did the in-person version of the Institute, I did. People from our team, we all have like a different version of like a little 15 to 20 minute keynote talk that we do. And mine focuses on this idea of remixing in the classroom. And as you're going to see in a second, one of the things I love so much about sharing Adobe Express with educators is this idea of not having to start with a blank piece of paper or a blank canvas. That kind of freaks me out. I'm not super artsy like that. Really quick question before we get started. If you wouldn't mind either unmuting or putting into the chat, what is the first thing you think of when you hear Adobe? I'm always curious to hear the responses.
I'm going to say mine, Photoshop.
Photoshop. Wow. So Emma wrote Photoshop. Wow, everyone's Photoshop. Usually the first thing I hear. Okay, Yolanda, thank you. Because usually, Jessica, the first thing I usually hear is PDF. But you nailed the first two. Every group I'm in, the first two things I hear are PDF and Photoshop. Usually the third thing I get is like, why did you take away our Flash games? And that predates me, but I am mad about it too. So I want to get to the bottom of this whole where my Flash games went. But yeah, PDF and Photoshops are generally what people associate us with. Sometimes people say, Photoshop is a fairly advanced tool. A lot of our tools are the same tools that like professionals use in their space, Premiere, Illustrator. And so that is not what we are going to be talking about today. Although I'm going to show you a PDF hack in a little while that I'm excited about. What we're going to be talking about today, and I'll share my screen. So we are going to be focusing on Adobe Express. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Adobe Spark, but this is the same thing. So Adobe Spark became Adobe Creative Cloud Express, which is now just Adobe Express. And what we're going to be taking a look at today is really three things that Adobe Express does. It creates graphics, it creates videos, and it creates web pages, but you're going to hear me refer to them as digital portfolios because that's oftentimes the best way we frame the use of them. So we're going to be doing all of that today. We're going to be creating one of each of those things. And that portfolio that we create is going to be the place where we put all of our artifacts moving forward over the next 3 sessions. So as I mentioned, this is kind of the highlight, but the reason why we always kind of promote Adobe Express over kind of going right to Photoshop or going to Premiere is Adobe Express is free for everyone, but educators and students get access to a free premium version of Adobe Express, which I'm going to share with you what some of those differences are as we kind of get into the product. But I consider Adobe Express to be our entry point into creativity. So just like any classroom, we know all of our students have different skill levels and different abilities. Adobe Express is a great starting point for this idea of creativity in the classroom. So one of the things I often see teachers struggling with is they feel like because they don't know the tool, they can't assign work that leverages the tool. And what I want to get us to a place is where we are focused on instructional outcomes. And so my outcome for a particular project might be, I want students to create a video that has 5 components to it. Rather than worrying about whether or not I know the tool, you're going to see that Adobe Express is easy enough that I know that every student in my classes can use Adobe Express. But if a student chooses to go and use another tool that's more advanced, awesome. As long as they're hitting the instructional outcomes, and what I need them to be doing as far as the objectives go, great. I don't really care what tool they use. But I at least can feel comfortable as an educator knowing that I'm assigning something that is easy enough for everybody to use and I don't have to become tech support central. So our schedule for this session is going to be a lot of you doing. It's going to be me framing and then giving you time to work, us framing again, giving you time to work. So as you see, most of the next hour or so is going to be you guys in product working, which is great. So one of the things you'll hear me talk about a lot over the course of our work together, and even moving beyond that, is this idea of making thinking visible, right? One of the things that's happened as a result of, not even as a result, it was already happening, but if you've been following the news with like ChatGPT and artificial intelligence, and districts are freaking out about, what does this mean for educators that students can get the computer to give them information that they can then use? Well, it's not that different than what's been going on for years with things like Wikipedia or even with calculators and math. But where we can reimagine our practice a little bit is with this idea of making thinking visible, asking students to create actual artifacts rather than using textual or verbal information to assess what they know. And so Vanderbilt University Center for Teaching talks about this idea and says that, when we visualize and put things in diagrams, charts, drawings, pictures, and other types of visualizations, it helps students understand complex information. So you're going to see that even beyond our institute, one of the things I'm going to be doing with our Adobe district leaders is providing additional training around some of these topics, like making thinking visible or visual communication skills, making infographics, things along those lines. With Adobe Express, it becomes really easy. You know, Debbie mentioned this idea of remixing. You're going to see that when we get in, there's a ton of templates and starting points that students can use to create really rich content and information and graphics using this tool that allows them to make their thinking visible, but also allows us to truly get a grasp on whether or not they understand the content that they're studying. So what we're going to do is we are going to get started. I'm going to put a link into the chat. And this is going to be our kind of home base for today. So every session, I'll have another page for you. And this is our Getting Started with Adobe Express page. And what we're going to do, I will share my screen. So I'm going to spend a couple of minutes just showing you how to get into the product. And Debbie, if once we get into the login screen, you may want to, I remember.
Yeah. There are very specific steps to get into it if you've never been in Adobe before. And so I just want to make sure when we get to that login page that we're clicking in the right places. So just pay attention.
You want to share your screen and show that now, and then we can double back?
Yes. Hold on just a second. Okay. Let me see if I can pull it up, and I'm going to log out so that I have to log back in. One moment, please.
Awesome.
Here we go. Because, you know, I keep myself logged in constantly so that I don't have to deal with that. Okay. And the link you dropped is just the presentation, but they're going to the adobe.com/express to log in, correct?
Yeah, or I generally say express.adobe.com, but either one works.
Okay, we can do that. Hold on. Express.adobe.com. Yes, that's easier.
And when Debbie shares her screen, you're going to see that when you get to when you go to the page to log in, you are going to naturally be tempted to click the continue with Google. We are not going to do that. You do not want to do that. Yeah, here we see everyone wants to click continue with Google, but we do not want to do that. And the reason why is if we look to the right, we can see it says log in with a school account. Remember that I said educators and students have access to the premium version of Adobe Express. So we want to make sure in order to get that, you're signing in with a school account.
Right. So to Jesse's point, with a lot of our tools, especially through Clever, we are accustomed to seeing that continue with Google. And so we naturally go there. But that is not where we're clicking today. We're going to go to the right where it says login with school account. And once you're there, then you can continue with Google. We're going to go with an enterprise ID. Jesse, stop me if I'm doing anything wrong here.
Hold on, let me look. That's right. Some of you may not get that school or enterprise or personal or enterprise. If you do, you click enterprise. If not, now
it should take you straight to that, right?
Debbie, if you click on the little blue thing up at the top, yep. Once you're logged in, you'll see your account is there, and it should say Adobe Express Premium. It might, for some of you, say like Adobe Express for K-12 Premium. That's fine.
Yeah, so I've had my account since I was a career tech teacher, and so I was part of the original enterprise account, so that may be one of the reasons that I'm seeing that. If you don't see it, don't worry.
So actually, Debbie, that is exactly why. If you had one of the old legacy accounts, that's why you still see that personal or school account. So I'm guessing most people on the call will not see that.
Hey, I did see it, but it logged in, so I guess it picked up some credential, but it did have me to select either like my information or the enterprise. So I clicked the enterprise and it logged in. Okay.
Perfect. And then as long as you see up in the top when you click that little drop down, if you see premium there, you know you're good to go. And truth be told, actually, to be honest, if you see, let me share my screen for a second. This view is actually an education view. So where you see worksheets, presentation slideshows, learning journal, you would not see that in the not premium version. So if you're seeing that, you're in a good place. What I want you to do now, and you can watch me for a second, so don't do yet, but I'll just show you. On that Getting Started with Adobe Express link that I put into the chat, you'll notice that under step 1, it says Creative Identity Graphic Template. Now, this is one of my favorite activities, because this is actually, this was our first Adobe Creative Challenge that we launched last January. Every month, we launch a creative challenge online. The first week of the month, we share the educator version. We give educators a week to kind of play with the template. The next week, we release the student version as well as lesson plan instructions. I will show you later where the full archive of all of these challenges lives. But this was the first one. It was called My Creative Identity. And this was actually, in some ways, what launched the work of our team, because what became an activity that was designed to have people talking about themselves actually became something where English teachers were talking about, create something with a character from a book. History teachers were doing, a historical figure. Science teachers were doing properties of an element. Math teachers were doing properties of a shape. So all these different things started from this one starting point. But this is this idea of remixing and not having to start from scratch. What I'd like you to do is, after you click on the first link to bring you to this page, click on Remix This Design, and that will bring you into the product. So I'm going to wait for all of you to get logged in, and then just flip back to my screen, because I'm going to show you a couple things, and then I'm going to get you off and creating. But you'll notice that once I click Remix This Design, it's going to actually load up and bring me into the graphic.
Jesse.
Yep, question?
Yes. When we log in, where do we go from there?
So once you're logged in, I want you to go back to the link that's in the chat, this express.adobe.com/page/all the numbers.
Okay.
Then under step 1, you'll click on the link that you could open up the page.
Step 1, okay.
Yep, and then click on that remix, click that again, and then hop back over to the page. I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to show you a couple of quick intro things, and then we'll give you time to create. All right. So I am now, this is where you should be, what's on my screen right now. Now, a couple quick things. Again, I'm going to try to give you as little of an overview as possible, just so that I can give you a chance to kind of create and explore. But you'll notice that in general, adding objects is going to appear on the left. Editing is going to appear on the right. But I'm going to start off. Actually, let me take one step back. One of my favorite things to say at the start of these trainings is, if you can click on it, you can edit it. So notice when I click on the background, I can have edit background. I click on a shape, I have edit the shape. I click on text, I have edit the text. And right now I'm going to click on the person, because this is not me. So I want to add myself to this. So I'm going to click replace. I click the person. I'm going to click replace. And the first thing I want you to notice that comes up is the photos, right? Because this was a photo. This is an important thing for you to know. As part of having that premium version of Adobe Express, you have access to the Adobe stock library of images. Totally free, and also vetted for K-12. So you don't have to worry about what happens if, one of my students searches for woman on the beach. Am I going to get an angry parent phone call? You're good, right? I can search for anything I want. But I, unfortunately, right now, I'm not in Adobe stock. So I'm going to click Upload Photo. And when I click Upload Photo, I'm going to pick one from my desktop. Let's use this one. Notice how there is a background here, and there's not a background in the on the image, but notice when I selected it, it says replacing image and transferring styles. Watch what happens. Because the image in the graphic was transparent, the one that I replaced it with will become transparent as well. And that's one of the things I love about these templates is I can set it up. So now I'm not answering 25 questions from my students about how I make this transparent, because it's already transparent, because the one that I was giving it, the one that I was changing it in for was also transparent. So I'm going to show you two other things really quickly. I'm changing my name. But one thing people often ask me about are the colors. How do I change, like, do I have to change the individual colors for all of these? Well, if you click on the colors in the palette, which says Update Color Palette, notice how it shows me all of the current colors, but it also has colors sorted by mood, or I could even search for a mood or a holiday or something like that. And let's say I want to search for happy. These are color palettes that have found to be happy by our graphic designers. I'm going to choose one, and it will change it all. Now, I don't like the way that looks. What I can do is I can shuffle these colors. So it's going to use the same palette, but it's going to just en masse shuffle all of the colors until I find one distribution that I like. And cool, I like that. So notice how I have that. The last thing I want to show you before I give you time to play, and maybe I like this, but I want to change the background. I can, instead of choosing a solid color, I could choose an image and search for like the night sky. And I'll just pick one, which will then add it as the night sky. Perfect. And the last thing I want to, well, two things I want to show you. The first is, notice in the lower left-hand or lower right-hand corner, I have, which says 10 plus. These are my layers. Every object here appears here. And let's say I wanted to take this arrow right here, this connector, and bring it, put it in back of me. Well, all I would have to do is drag it down and put it behind me, and that controls the order. So it's still there, but it's just not right up on me. There you go. Last thing I want to show you is the shapes menu. When you think of shapes, you probably think of like circles, squares, triangles, things like that. But if you're familiar with the noun project, this is actually the full noun project library. So for instance, if I wanted to change favorite foods and I wanted to add sushi to my favorite foods, if I click sushi, I can notice there's dozens of graphical representations that will all appear with one color. I can choose one that I like, and it will add it to the graphic. I can then resize it and bring it down to my foods. So that is it. Just to get started, there's so much more, but for now, I just want to give you 10 minutes to work on your graphic. And what I will tell you is, do not get precious with this, right? So don't make it perfect, Debbie. I'm not attacking you personally, right? This is exactly. I just
don't believe him. He is attacking me.
I'm
perfectionist over here.
Not what. Don't be like Debbie. Don't fixate on this one, right? We're just going to spend some time creating. I'm going to put 10 minutes on. Debbie, I was going to throw on tunes, but I also feel like yours were so good. Do you want to throw on tunes? I mean, it's up to you. I'm happy to put my mix on.
I can throw my tunes back on. Absolutely. I have 11 hours of it, courtesy of YouTube.
Wow. Okay, so go ahead. I'm going to set a timer, and we'll be back in 5 minutes.
Of course, I had already closed it, so you have to wait just a second. Sorry, y'all.
No problem.
Hey, Debbie, you know how the universe just like does stuff for you sometimes just at the right time? So like I just said, like, okay, I've got to learn Canva better because I'm so sick of sending out Google Docs that I'm trying to use like tables and import, like my stuff looks like garbage. I don't need Canva. Thank you.
You don't. I know. I'm so excited. This is easy. It's quick. Your students have access to it. You have access to it. And it's like, I was in there earlier today looking for something for a flyer. So absolutely. I love to hear you say that.
We've got family reading night coming up in 2 weeks. So now I know I'm going to make it.
ist nicht für Leute mit Konto. Bei uns im Kiez lebt man solide auf Pump.
Berliner Jossen Slang. Was willst du? Willst mal rollen? Berliner.
Okay. How is everyone doing so far?
Doing good.
What do we like? What do we have questions about? Is there anything we're wondering?
I struggled with replacing the picture. I went to my desktop, but I don't know what I did wrong. But other than that, it was pretty good.
You were able to replace the picture,
No,
or did you like how?
I was not. I don't know what I did. It took me out. It took me out to a Google and wanted me to sign in to have access to my Google Drive. I don't know what I did.
Okay. Do you want to share a screen, or you want to just we'll figure it out later?
I'll figure it out later.
Okay. Paulette, you had your hand up.
Yes. I don't remember how you put the item, the little stick in back. I don't remember how you did that.
You mean like the sushi?
Well, putting something forward. I'm taking it
Move to
from
front,
the background.
Gotcha. Okay. Lower right-hand corner of your screen, there's that little 10 plus with what we call layers. You click on the layers, and then you just find the one you want to move up or down. Think about it as like stacks of paper. Like imagine kind of like everything was a piece of paper instead of being an object, and right, we put things on top of each other. So similarly, if there's one that we want to move forward or backward, we just basically take it and drag it up or down behind the object we want it to go in front behind, or in front of the object we want it to go in front of, and that should actually help you.
Okay.
Did that work?
No.
Can you show it on your screen?
Yeah, I'm going to show one more time. I'll share my screen.
Okay. Thank you.
No, my pleasure. So here, let's find one. Oh, so right behind me, see how there's a little arrow? But let's say I wanted to move me all the way to the back. So notice how there's that arrow right behind me. I could either take this arrow and move it up above me, in which case now look, it popped up in front of me. Or I can move it behind me, in which case it'll now be behind me. So it's this layer over here. It looks like this. It says 10 plus usually, if there's more than 10 items here. And when you expand it, it shows you the full list of every item that's in your graphic. And you can move things forward and backward by just clicking and dragging up or down.
So if it's at the top of the list, it means it's the top layer, correct? And if it's at the bottom, it means it's the bottom layer.
Correct.
Thank you.
Now, layers are actually a Photoshop concept. So one of the cool things about using this within Adobe Express is, should they graduate to where they're up to using a tool like Photoshop, it won't be like a completely foreign skill to them because they're already using that same functionality here within Adobe Express. Okay, couple of quick things. The first thing that you probably want to do is in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, it says Home, then Projects, and then for you, it probably says like Project 1 or something like that. Next to them is 3 dots. I would click on the 3 dots and rename your project, because this can quickly become like Google Drive, where you have a million things called My Document, like New Document, right? New document, new document. I know I have a million new documents in my Google Drive. Now, all of your files are saved in real time. Every change you make, it gets saved to, I don't want to call it like your Adobe Drive, but essentially you have in Adobe Express a place where everything gets saved to. And I'm going to show you where that is in a second. So I'll give you a moment just to rename your project. The next thing is, how do I get the project once it's done? Now, over here, there's 2 options in the upper right-hand corner. It says download or share. Sharing allows me to publish it. I can invite a collaborator, or I can even turn this into a template if I want to use this as a new starting point. But what I want you to do is I want you to download your graphic. If you feel like you're not done with it now, then don't worry about it. You could do it later, or you could always download it and replace it later. But I just want to show you the process of downloading. When I hit download, it gives me several options. It gives me the options to download it as a PNG file, a JPEG, or a PDF. I usually would only pick PDF if I was printing it. So for instance, if I was making like a class wall of my students' projects or something like that, I would probably save it as a PDF and then print them out. In terms of JPEG or PNG, if your graphic has transparent aspects to it, you could use a PNG, but really it doesn't matter. So hit start download and it will download your graphic for you. I'll give you a moment to do that, and then I'll share the next step with you.
Hey, Jesse, can I ask you a question really quick?
Absolutely.
So if we were going to send this out, like if I was going to make a flyer and I want to send it out to my families, and I could we have a app in CPS called Talking Points, and basically it's a texting app where we can text all families. So if we were going to send, like say I've got family reading night coming up, I want to send out a flyer. I might send it out through talking points. How would you suggest I download it?
Couple ways to do it. If you want to save it as a graphic, you could download the graphic. Again, if you want it as something like, if you're used to sending out like PDFs, you could download it as a PDF. You could download it as a graphic, or really quickly, let me show you. If I were to publish this, I'm going to save the link to this. And let me just show you really quickly what a published graphic would look like. So this is the published graphic. Notice how it's published on a web page, but it's not like an editable graphic, right? It's like published like a web page. So it's just a matter of whether you want to send a graphic, whether you want to send a PDF, or whether you want to send a link where it'll take you to a page like this, in which case then you would just do publish under share and then use that link as what you share out as the flyer.
Jesse, if I make changes to it, if I provided someone with the link and I make changes, do those updates automatically transfer?
All you have to do is, let's say I make a change now. And instead of saying Jesse, I'll add my middle name to it because it's already published. I'll hit share again. Oops, it's saving my project. Now I'm going to hit publish again. It's the same link, but once I hit publish again, now if I go back here and do the same link, oops, I have to republish. Hold on. Update link. Oh, you know why? Okay. I created this in my other account, so I have to hit update there. If this was created in the one account like yours is, you would actually see when you hit publish, update, and then you would just update your link. So kind of like when I update a web page, how you have to just hit like update or republish, it's the same exact thing. So if you were to share it out as a web page, all you would have to do is hit update the publish link.
Cool, thank you. Dave?
I might be getting ahead of the game. You probably have this on your agenda, but if I wanted to put clickable links in this, can I do that?
Clickable links would be on our pages. So we wouldn't do clickable links on our graphic. We would do that on our page, but I'll show you that in a couple minutes.
Okay.
Because you know, I could also see a scenario where you basically embed an image into a web page and share that out as the flyer almost. Because when I show you page, page is my favorite. So when we get to that, I'll show it to you. I'm going to show you a couple of things quickly, though, before we jump to video and then page.
Jesse, we have one more question from Carmen.
Okay, let's hear it.
Jesse, if you don't mind, just go back over the image again, how you replace that picture, because I'm still not able to get it.
So I clicked on the image. I can hit replace. And then, again, because I'm not in Adobe Stock, I would hit upload photo. And I just browsed to where on my computer there was a picture of me on my desktop, and that's what I used.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Before we take a look at video, I want to show you the homepage of Adobe Express, which we saw quickly before. Now, to get to the homepage from any place within Adobe Express, I can hit the little icon, the Adobe Express icon in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, and notice how it takes me to my homepage. Now, just to show you a little bit of what's in the homepage, notice that there's a ton of templates here, which we're going to get to. I'm going to show you quick actions in a second, but notice how when I click the view more, I can scroll down to see seasonal highlights. You can see that we've curated a number of things for both Lunar New Year as well as Black History Month. And if you scroll down even more, it tells you apps that are included with Adobe Express. So through the fact that you have that premium version of Adobe Express, you also have access to the mobile app version of Adobe Express, as well as Premiere Rush, which is a higher grade video tool, which is accessible through the web as well as iOS or Android, and Photoshop Express as well. So those are all apps that are available to you for free with Adobe Express. The thing I want to show you quickly before we get into video is the quick actions menu. So notice how it says try a quick action. If I click view all, there's a ton of awesome quick actions here for things that I normally go to free websites for that like infect my computer with viruses, I think. Because oftentimes I'm trying to like turn a video into an MP4, or try to turn an MP4 into an animated GIF, or remove backgrounds on an image. All of those are things that are in quick actions. But the other thing that I always love to show educators, you mentioned before, PDFs is one of the things we're known for. You may not have a premium version of Adobe Acrobat, but you can do most of the Acrobat features right here within Adobe Express. I can convert to and from PDF. I can edit images. I can organize pages or combine files. All of that is free functionality within Adobe Express. Okay. So that's the home screen. Notice down on the bottom, I can see recent projects I've worked on. What I want to do to start a new project, and actually, wait, before we go do that, notice how I have home here. I also have projects. Projects is where all your files will get saved. Think of that as like your Google Drive, except it's not Google Drive, it's in Adobe Express. But all the different projects that I've done, I can find here within my projects, as well as the ones I own, the ones that are shared with me, and recent ones that I've accessed. In order to create a new project, though, I want to click on the plus button, the big purple plus in the upper left-hand corner. Now, I mentioned that we're going to create a video next. The thing I want to share with you about video, though, is in order to create a video, like there's several options here for video. Explainer video, video, Flipgrid video. It doesn't matter which one you choose. They all go to the same place. So I'm going to click on video. And it says every great story starts somewhere. I'm going to say this is my sincere reflection. And it says we could pick a story template or start from scratch. I'm going to hit start from scratch, even though I love our story templates. I will come back to that later. I'm going to hit start from scratch. And when the video editor opens, if anyone wouldn't mind, what does it look like to you? Does it look like any other type of tool you use? So this is the video editor. Does it look like any other tool you use?
It looks like Vimeo.
So yeah, we've gotten Vimeo. The answer we get a lot is
Video.
Like, yeah, WeVideo. But
WeVideo.
It actually looks like a slide deck, not like a right. It's turned on its side, but it looks like slides, because that's all it is. So I'm going to walk you through very quickly. I'm going to create a video. You can just sit and watch. I want to show you how easy this is, but one of the misconceptions people often have about video is that you need video in order to create video. You don't. So I'm going to start by just notice how it only gives me one slide plus a credit slide. I'm going to show you the credit slide in a second because it's one of my favorite features. But I'm going to start by adding text. I'm going to say Jesse's reflection video. I'll add another slide. On the second slide, I'm going to add a photo, and I'm going to upload the graphic I created. Now notice that it starts off by expanding it to its full width. I can edit that, but the reason it does that is it will do like the Ken Burns effect if I leave it like this, you know, the zoom out. But I'm going to edit and just zoom it out so you can see the whole graphic. Perfect. And then the last thing I want to do is I want to add a third slide. And on this slide, I'm going to actually add a photo again. But this time I'm going to search Adobe Stock. And I'm just going to search for thank you. And this is actually my favorite part. So I'm going to choose this puzzle piece one. But I want you to take a look at what happens on the credit slide over here. So it's adding this graphic. Take a look at the credit slide. And notice words just popped up. So when I click on that, any image that I add, any icon that I add from the noun project, it will automatically provide attribution for those assets. So one of the things I know that we struggle with our students is getting them to provide attribution for their work. It not only will do that for them for the images and icons, but it will leave additional space for them to provide attribution for anything they might add on their own. This same thing will happen in web page. All right. So before our video is almost done, I added my slides, I added my content. Notice how for text, it gave me 4 seconds. There's a little timer down here on the right. For images, it gave me 2 seconds. The last thing I need to do is I'm going to add voiceover. To add voiceover, all I have to do is click and hold the microphone right here. So I'm going to do that. Welcome to my reflection video. And notice it changed it to 2 seconds. I can always re-record it. If I don't like what I said, I can just do it again. So I'm going to click and hold and do it one more time. Welcome to my reflection video. Perfect. It's a little bit longer. Next slide. Today I learned how to use Adobe Express. I can't believe how easy it is, and I can't wait to get going with this with my students. Thanks for watching. Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm sharing. Hold on 1 second.
When you have 10 million tabs open, it's hard to find that tab.
So now I've made my video. I want to take a look at what I have. I'm going to hit preview. Welcome to my reflection video. Today I learned how to use Adobe Express. I can't believe how easy it is, and I can't wait to get going with this with my students. Thanks for watching. So the one thing you didn't see was music, because I didn't do it. It did it by default. Notice on my editing screen up in the top, I can change the layout of my slides. I can select themes. I can resize, or I can go choose music. So notice I can pick different music if I want something else. I can test them out. Perfect. I can also add my own music or use no music at all. I can also change the theme. So notice a lot of questions we get are around what fonts do we, can we use different fonts? Can we use different colors, things like that? And the answer is we want students to focus more on the content, right? Adobe Express is our entry point tool into creativity. So we've had professional designers select fonts and images that will lead to a good looking end product. So they don't have to worry about it not being a quality product. But as they get into higher end products, you'll be able to do a lot more customization. Here, it'll really let you pick a graphic and then a color, or a style and a color. And notice it'll update all of my slides. Let's see. Okay, so it updated all of my slides to match the new style. And if I hit preview, welcome to my reflection video. Today I learned how to use Adobe Express. I can't believe how easy. And there you go. That's all it takes to create video. So what I want to do is I want to give you a few minutes now to create a video reflection of your own using the image that you downloaded before. And then once you do that, we'll have our 2 artifacts for our portfolio for today. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing. Questions before?
Yes, Jessica, can you go back and show us what we're supposed to do first?
Sure. And by the way, this happens every time. So every time I have to go back. So here we go. Where we're going to go is to get started. Remember, if we're not sure where we are ever, we could always hit the home page, the home link, which is our icon up in the top. And to get started with our video project, we're going to hit plus, and then we can click video. And then we can give it a name. We can choose start from scratch. And that will get you on your way. All right.
Okay, so, thank you.
No problem. And I'm going to put 10 minutes on the timer for you guys to create your video. And we're not going to throw on tunes this time because you're potentially using voiceover. One thing to note, by the way, because some people don't want to do voiceover, you don't have to. You can add additional slides and use text, right, to get your messaging across. You could also add video if you have video. So there's a number of different options and ways to do it. There's not one right or wrong way to do this. It's really whatever's comfortable for you. but we'll give you 10 minutes to create, and then we're going to get together and take a look at web page and pull it all together. Okay, we're back.
So Jesse, we had a question in the chat about recording.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go through them quick. The ones that you did not answer. By the way, thank you very much. Okay, we added the new. How do we add a photo to video? Yes, you were correct. Adding a graphic, we just download it first. Debbie, to the second point of your question. So, just a little history lesson here. I remember I mentioned Adobe Express used to be Adobe Spark. Adobe Spark was 3 separate products, one for video, one for web pages, one for graphics. Express is all of them together, but they're kind of married. Like we merged them, but they're not like built from the ground up together. We're going to be launching a new version soon, and that new version will allow you to pull from other projects directly in, so you won't have to do the download and then add. The next question, can you record video in the app? You can record it directly in it, but if you have video, you can upload it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so the answer is no, you cannot record within the app.
Unless, actually, wait, you know what? Hold on one second. There's one thing I want to try. If I want to add a video, no, it's making me do that because if I want to add a photo, yeah, no, video won't let me do, but photo, if I go to the 3 dots next to upload in photo, it lets me take a photo, but video, it will only force me to actually upload the video file. So yeah, the answer is no. Currently, I will tell you this, the new version, we've seen I'm actually working with the product team. I'm looking at it for EDU, and it is significantly better than I think what we have now. Where did I teach? I started my teaching career in the New York State Department of Education, which is also where I went to school. And then how do I pull the original document into the video? So once you have it downloaded, so the key part here is downloading the image. Once you have it downloaded, then in the video, on a blank slide where the plus button is, then you could choose photo and hit upload photo and then browse to where you downloaded it. I just realized I'm not sharing my screen. But yeah, that's what you would do. Okay. I felt like there was something I wanted to show before we went to page. Oh, I know what I wanted to show. Okay. So what we're going to do before we go to page, I'm going to share my screen really quickly. There's my video. Here it is. Okay. I'm going to just delete this slide. Okay. I have my completed video. What I want to do before I leave to go do web page is I want to go to share and hit publish. When you do publish, it's going to ask you for a name of the project, author, subtitle if you want. I'm just going to hit OK. I'm going to hit create link. And when it creates the link, it's going to give me a link to the web page. I'm going to copy that. We're going to need that in a moment. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you how to make a web page, but before I show it to you, I just want to show you a finished product because, Robin, I think this will help in terms of your vision of what a flyer could be with embedded. My daughter is in the process of applying to college. It is a miserable experience, but she did put her Common App essay in. She basically took it from text and made it a graphical version in Adobe Express. It took her 4 minutes. I want you to see what the finished product looks like. This is using a feature called Glide Show, but you'll see she just copy and pasted text into various text boxes, added video. All of the images you're seeing behind here are from Adobe Stock. So this is a web page, but it looks like a presentation. It's like interactive, and it also has all the credits like that I showed you before for whenever we used an image from here. So this is using a Glide Show feature, but it literally took seconds to make. So we're going to start by going to the home page and clicking the plus And we could choose any of these things, report. You can watch me for now. This is only going to take a moment. But report, newsletter, portfolio, web page. I'm going to choose web page. But remember, anytime you see any of these icons that are the same, they go to the same place. So it brings me to this page, which is just a little starting point here, right? There's just a gray area and a white area. I'm going to put Jesse's portfolio. I'll say Jesse's Cincy portfolio. Adobe Creative Institute. And then notice how on the pluses here, I have the ability to choose a photo, a short cover, which is a shorter version of that, or a split layout. I'm just going to click photo, and I'm going to, I don't want to upload. I'm going to search Adobe stock for Cincinnati. And I'm going to find one I like. Okay. So I have my stock image here. And underneath, it says scroll to start writing your story. I'm going to add a photo here. And the photo I'm going to add is going to be my graphic that we created, the one I downloaded. And notice how I can add a caption here. I'll call it My Creative Identity. And then above it, notice how there's a white plus here and there's a white plus on the bottom. Basically, it lets me add either above or below the graphic. I'm going to click Add a Video. And I'm just going to paste in the link to the video that I just made. Notice how it says you can add a link from YouTube, Vimeo, or Adobe Express Spark Video. So you can add other types of video in here as well. When I hit Save, there it is. If I click Preview, it'll show me my web page in published form. So notice what I have here is I have my portfolio page, I have my graphic, I have my video. And notice it placed credits for the image that was used here above. This is where we're going to end up today, right? We're just creating a basic portfolio page. And one thing I didn't get to share with you because I'm skipping around, but we do talk about this importance of why digital portfolios. Really, the key for us is we want to help students curate those learning artifacts so that they can reflect and think about their learning growth over time, right? Now, whether that happens over a unit, over a semester, over a year, ultimately, if we're getting them to add artifacts over time, that's what helps us. Now, I did have a question earlier about how I add links. The way I would do that is using what we call a button. So let's say I wanted to add a button here. I can call this button Adobe Express Challenges. And I'm just going to put a link here to edx.adobe.com/challenges. I'll hit Save. I will center this. And then we'll go to our portfolio. We'll present it. I'll hit Adobe Express Challenges. And notice that button is now a functioning link. So that is, I don't know why that happened. Interesting. That in a nutshell is getting started with this. Ooh, why does it keep doing that? Oh, because I'm in Publish. So I will stop sharing. We have 10 minutes left. I want to give you a chance to, oops, my watch is talking to me. Give you a chance to create your portfolio. That's where we're stopping today. This is our most tools-heavy session that we're going to do. The next 3 sessions are really about instruction and teaching and learning. And that's it. We'll keep coming back to this portfolio over the next 3 sessions. Couple of things to share with you while you're, and again, I'm going to have time for you, especially in sessions 3 and 4, to come back and catch up. So if you feel like you didn't get everything in the portfolio today, do not worry. We are going to have time for you to work, revise, tweak, update. There will be plenty of time for all of that. what I want to find is, sorry, let me stop sharing. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Good. I just want to put a link into the chat for you. I'm going to also send this in the follow-up email, but I did want to share this with you now. I mentioned, you know, that we were looking for people who were interested in potentially being Adobe Creative Educator District leaders. I know we have some trainings planned in district for March 3rd. I don't know if Debbie has people for that already. So I'm going to put a link to the interest form. If you're interested, just sign up here and we'll get you more information. I'll also send this in the follow-up email and probably after each session as well. But we have a few minutes left. I have to jump for a 5:30 meeting, but what questions do you have right now? Yolanda.
Jesse, I'll just start with a comment. Like, this is great, and I can't wait to teach my kids. I'll wait until we're done with the training, but I'm like loving this because I do project-based learning, and I'm like, oh, this is great. But my question is, one of the things that I proposed to my principal and assistant principal is that this summer we offer the students now for graduation requirement have to get industry certification, and I've already said, hey, Adobe, maybe not necessarily here, but what I'm looking for is like what training I can get or what tools I can teach the kids so that they can get industry certification.
We can that's a little bit of a bigger conversation. We could definitely have that conversation. As I mentioned before, my focus area districts are Cincinnati, Philadelphia, Boston, and New York City. So obviously, in New York City, we're doing a lot of that. So we can definitely get on a call to talk about that. And Debbie, I think, would be part of that call as well to talk. But 100%, we can definitely figure out where we could play a role with that. I'm not sure I'm not sure what everyone has access to, but everyone does have access to Express. As far as the Creative Cloud applications, which is where I know we do provide some of those certifications, those are, right, Debbie, that's not everyone, correct?
No, it's not pushed out to everyone right now. It's by request, and those requests go through Christine Shields.
Yeah, so I've been in contact with her, but I haven't sent her any students. I just asked her to send it to me so that I can learn it and understand it so that whenever we're ready to do that with the kids. So so Jesse, just kind of looking for your input and expertise, and maybe you too, Deborah, so that I can pick, because I'm probably just going to pick one tool and not try to do everything. So
Adobe Express right now is the one that's rolled out to everyone.
Got it.
I think, right? So that, Debbie, I think, right, that's...
That is correct. And it's that great starting point. So it's a great place for you to start with the kids, to introduce them to it, get them thinking about how that creative process works, get them a little accustomed to some of, like, when you're working with the layers. So if you wanted to teach them Photoshop, that's great. Use this as your entry point, right? And that certification piece is a much bigger conversation. So, but we can definitely broach that.
What I would say, especially in the project-based learning space, that's one of the reasons why we frame a lot of the work we do through this idea of digital portfolios and trying to have students kind of capture their learning journey. And the one thing I didn't get to share with you, I'll share my screen really quickly because this is probably a good last thing to talk about, is the types of portfolios that we often talk about. Oh, is it in the slide deck? Wrong slide deck. Give me 2 seconds. Here we go. Give me 2 seconds. There are 3 types of portfolios that we often talk about when we talk about those portfolios. So it's not just like portfolios for all and just kind of a blanket term over it. When we talk about digital portfolios, really we're talking about showcase, which are kind of like, in a PBL experience, that could be like the end project of, right, it has all the artifacts of what they actually did. Process, which is kind of a step-by-step about what happened over the course of the learning experience. And then what you're doing now, which is kind of like a hybrid, right? Because you are doing showcase artifacts from the different experiences we're doing, but ultimately, because we're doing this over the course of several sessions, this is what we would call a process, portfolio as well. So doing this creates opportunities for us in pretty much every, within every learning opportunity to do that kind of deeper reflection work and having students really think about, where did I start? Where did I end up? And, and what happened in the middle.
And I know the majority of you are elementary teachers. However, if you are teaching high school and or have friends, colleagues teaching high school with students who are trying to use a technology course offered by the district for the technology seal, part of that requirement is to have a portfolio of your work. And so this would be an excellent way in which to keep track of all of that and then showcase it at the end as proof or documentation of work throughout that course to get that tech seal from the state of Ohio.
So I know we're wrapping up. Debbie, can you send me, just like you did for the last one, a spreadsheet, and I'll send the follow-up email? By the way,
yes,
amazing spreadsheet. Like everything's there, so helpful. I will send a follow-up email with the links to the resources from today's session. This way, if anyone wants, if someone has to catch up on the video recording, or if you just want to go back and look at the resources, it'll all be there, as well as the interest form, which if you are interested, again, there's no commitment. It's just really if you're interested in potentially doing some of that deeper work. Thank you so much for giving up your value. I know how valuable a teacher's time is after school. So thank you so much for being willing to do this work with us. What type of project is the identity graphic? That is, it's a graphic. So it would fall under, we have the graphics, the web pages, the videos. We have different, I'm excited to jump in and show you later some of the other challenges we had, because we had animation projects, there's videos, there's all different types of projects. So I'll actually, just so you have something to take a look at, I'll throw in a link into the chat right now. This is a link to all of our challenges. You can see the past challenges if you want to just kind of get a sense for what they look like. But one thing you'll notice when you go into them is you'll see the educator version, the student version, as well as the templates, the instructions, and we even provide a video with our team walking you through how you would use this. So you can always take it and modify it. Again, we believe deeply in you do you, right? Take it, make it what's going to be useful for you. But I'm just going to give you a fair warning. I'm going to put you to work next week. Debbie knows. Session 2. It's my favorite one. It
was stressful. Okay.
Don't get them
scared. It was the perfectionist in me. It was a ton of fun, and I saw so much value in it. It made me rethink.
You are going to be students, and I'm going to be the teacher, and we are going to walk through a creative process experience. It is going to be amazing. I will see you next week. Thank you so much again. I can't wait. I'll see you all next week.